Rivers were never just bodies of water flowing across land. Long before modern infrastructure existed, they quietly shaped how space could be used, connected, and controlled. Where movement became easier, influence followed. And rivers made movement easier than almost anything else in early geography. Across continents, the first dense settlements consistently formed near rivers. Not because water was abundant everywhere else, but because rivers reduced the cost of distance in a way land routes never could. Moving goods over land required labor, animals, and time. Moving goods with a current required far less. That difference reshaped entire regions. A river turns geography into infrastructure. It allows space to function before roads or railways appear. Flow replaces friction. Access replaces isolation. This is why rivers organized early economic life. They created natural corridors where movement concentrated. And wherever movement concentrates, power accumulates. As settlements expanded, rivers began structuring space into positions: upstream, midstream, downstream. Each position carried different advantages. Those upstream influenced timing. They controlled when water arrived and how consistently it flowed. Those downstream depended on that consistency, often without control over it. Over time, power aligned quietly with position. As trade intensified, rivers became economic corridors. Markets emerged where boats met land. Cities expanded where flow slowed. Control concentrated where routes narrowed. Once these patterns formed, they reinforced themselves. More movement attracted more infrastructure. More infrastructure attracted more activity. Rivers did not just enable growth, they anchored it. Ports formed where rivers met the sea. These junctions became gateways between regions. Whoever controlled them controlled exchange, not through force but through access. Over centuries, power accumulated at choke points, confluences, narrow bends, delta mouths, places where flow had to pass, regardless of intention. Rivers also shaped production. Floodplains created fertile land where scale was possible. Predictable seasonal flow allowed agriculture to intensify. Population density increased where rivers cooperated. Density supported specialization. Specialization created layered economies. And rivers quietly structured those layers across space. But rivers do not behave consistently. They shift gradually. They overflow unpredictably. They respond to pressure rather than planning. As societies grew more complex, variability became a problem. Uncertainty threatened scale. Growth demanded predictability. This is where rivers were engineered. Channels were straightened to speed movement. Banks were reinforced to protect investment. Floodplains were confined to prevent disruption. The goal changed from adapting to rivers to controlling them. Control brought stability. Stability allowed cities to expand. Ports to deepen, logistics systems to accelerate. But control also introduced dependence. Once a river is engineered, systems assume reliability. Infrastructure aligns around fixed flow. Investment expects consistency. Efficiency improves, but flexibility disappears. When conditions change, rigid systems fail suddenly. Floods concentrate instead of dispersing. Damage intensifies instead of spreading. Failures move downstream with force. Control does not remove river power, it redistributes it. Those who manage flow decide outcomes. Who receives water, who receives protection, and who absorbs risk. This power is rarely visible. It does not require borders or speeches. Yet it shapes economic outcomes downstream every day. Dams amplified this effect. Flow could be paused, released, redirected. Energy followed control. Industry clustered near managed rivers. Urban growth aligned with engineered channels. Technology did not weaken river influence. It amplified it. Modern logistics still follow water. Shipping corridors depend on navigable rivers. Ports rely on managed channels. Infrastructure follows paths set long ago. Even in globalized economies, rivers continue to define advantage. Not through dominance, but through structure. Control also narrows choice. Once systems are built around rivers, alternatives shrink. Cities cannot relocate easily. Ports cannot move inland. Infrastructure locks decisions into place. This creates path dependence. Early advantages harden into long-term dominance, while downstream regions inherit vulnerability. Floods expose these hierarchies. Scarcity reveals them. Disruption traces lines of power that were always present. Rivers make inequality spatial. Not ideological, upstream decisions ripple outward. Downstream regions adapt or absorb the consequences. These dynamics persist today. Digital systems still rely on physical movement. Physical movement still relies on geography. Rivers remain central. Not because they are ancient, but because they are efficient. They reward access. They punish overconfidence. They bind regions together while keeping them unequal. Power along rivers is never permanent. It must be maintained, engineered, and constantly tested. When control weakens, rivers reclaim space. They shift channels. They overflow boundaries. They disrupt assumptions. Every managed river carries tension. Between flow and containment, between efficiency and resilience, between control and adaptation. Understanding rivers means understanding how power forms, and why it concentrates where it does. They create opportunity. They define limits. They shape outcomes quietly. Rivers create power, and they control it. If you're interested in how physical space quietly shapes economic power, you can follow this channel. More stories like this are coming. This is Behind the Map.